Hey guys, this is tech update number 8. I'm going to be covering fire rate and reload as they are now unique entities that are being passed through. So first things first, I'm going to show you things on the dedicated host, and then I'll switch over to the client because that's a big difference. So first things first, pick up a gun. We're going to test single fire rate. I'm just going to click one time. So you can see, able to do that, and then press and hold. Okay, and then we're going to force reload by emptying out the clip. You can see we got a little reload HUD going on. Okay, check this fire rate. Just keep it in the back of your mind. I'm going to pick up that gun and I'm going to fire differently so you can see the two different fire rates visually. Okay, so there's that. Switch over to the Mac. You can see it's a very big difference. This gun's actually got such a high fire rate, it's hard to like single shot. That's a real thing in real life. So we're actually going to not going to empty out the clip. We're going to reload by clicking R so we can show that the reload works when we trigger it. Okay, and next we're going to do is we're going to play this with a client instead of a host because we know hosts have different controls and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Yay, awesome. And we're going to do an optional reload. We can see that the reload on the M4 is 2.5 seconds. And the reload on the Mac is 2 seconds. That's obviously on purpose. That's further just testing proof. I'm just going to do that so you can see that. Yep, 2 seconds right there. And we're going to do it by forcing it so you can see the same thing. Okay, cool. That's the core of the update. From here where I go is handling damage and then creating a different, possibly bullets, so that gets passed through. That's obviously going to be important when we get to unique larger weapons like rifles and rocket launchers, or really specialty like lightning effects, right? We're going to want that kind of flexibility. So that's kind of my next step. But this right here is basically the big jump from like, hey, I picked up a gun, to hey, now my gun acts differently. Damage systems and things like that are really easy to change once you get this kind of ball rolling. So what I'm going to dive into next is kind of just a quick run through of kind of the tech and how it's working. For those of you who worked at Pick and Pop, for those of you who worked on Pick and Pop with me, you might recall these giant like threads with all these like breakpoints, and then they loop back around. That was when I was using delays. When we did the rework, I switched to timers. It was a big thing I talked about, was learning how to do that. So all the fire rate data that you remember from Pick and Pop is contained in, wait for it, that's it. So really working on condensing that down. Not that actual length of code is really important, but the point is, although this looks a little jumbled, it's a lot better now that I'm not using delays. A, because delays are not great to use, and B, they just take up a lot of room. You got to keep track of where they all are, and then you got to set up extra variables for them. So first thing it is, moved off of just like a maximum, moved to a clip size, clip maximum, and total ammo, which gave me the flexibility to like check how much ammo is in the clip, when do I have to reload, things like that. The timers, there's two of them. There's this one calls by event because it's calling the server to spawn bullets. There's one server call beforehand, which is necessary because the input action that sets the fire rate, which sets the loop, is so fast when you're single firing. The code gets called so quickly because the CPU is so efficient that that first bullet actually doesn't appear in the loop. So it has to be fired separately, forcibly here. Then we set the loop. How we get fire rate is we take the fire rate, which is rounds per minute, which we store here, which is that struct point fire rate, which I got off of Wikipedia. Sorry, I always click that. Divide by 60, and that's how we get the calls. Every single time it calls, it checks to see if I'm still supposed to be firing. Yes, no. Cool. Attempts to spawn bullet. If you spawn the 31st bullet, or your bullet after the clip size has ammo in clip, no, you start the automatic reload. Automatic reload, we run a big check on the client. These timers are different because of the way that I structured the calls. I don't believe that one is better than the other, but I did them differently. The first, this is the way that a lot of people do it, is a function on decrement. really common. This was calling event because the event was already done. It was set up, and all this had to be created separately. So I switched back to using decrement. Really simple, right? You just take a value, you subtract it by a certain amount, which is how often or how rapidly you want to be tracking the difference. When it hits 0, something happens. For me, I kill the timers. I'm tracking those timers by making them their own variable. Okay. The reload function, which is reload decrement, does cancel the fire rate, which shouldn't be happening anyways, but I'm very defensive about code. I don't want anything breaking, and when I'm transferring from client to server, I get a little bit nervous. So then the decrement runs. The decrement hits 0. It calls the server then runs, the server then runs a reload. There's some extra code here I'm cleaning out, and then it does all the mathematics according to how the ammo works. Something about the ammo that I was really careful about was when we hit really low amounts of ammo, making sure we didn't hit zeros and making sure our clips didn't just magically re-up. One of the things that I probably should have mentioned earlier in the video, because most of you guys aren't probably still watching, but that's fine, is we're using a Call of Duty design system, which is I reload and then just the 6 bullet difference comes over, right? Instead of just dropping the entire clip and putting 30 new in. We're not playing Insurgency or Squad, right? We're playing a much more casual game. So I think it's how that's going to work moving forward. I haven't put in a how to cancel system yet. Some of those branches are getting ready to be put in. The reason why I haven't done that is because I didn't get any feedback on Discord about people's input on design. I'm just going to move forward and not implement a cancel for now, but we'll do that later. Last but not least, the HUD is just simply pulling visibility check on is reloading, and then it pulls the text from update value increment, which is just basically the exact same thing, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just pulls from owner, pulls decrement value, update. So, as always, for those of you who watch to the end, I appreciate it. Again, I don't make the second part because I want everyone to learn every piece of tech in the game. I do it because I come back through these and I watch these, and also they're going to become part of my blog. So, looking forward to having the damage stuff, which is much simpler, in my opinion. And then I'm going to probably jump on some more of the grapple stuff, now that I've really done this a lot more of this multi to single player testing. Multi-single player development, I feel a little bit more confident in understanding how to take some of my earlier ideas and improve them. So that's my next step. Hope you guys are doing well. Take care.